So I was filming content and I put in a work order, right? So I live in an apartment and a kind of a cool apartment actually, but they have a maintenance team, right? And when you submit a maintenance request, it's either called that or a work order. So I submitted a work order, and to my surprise, they showed up kind of like closer to, it's like what, almost 5 o'clock, right? And they go till 6, but usually they don't come. If they don't come like a specified time, they don't come until like the next day. They usually come in early in the morning. And I just was literally, quite literally, about to start creating content and about, your spirit team and your spirit guides and how it works in my head, like your shadow and all that. So you'll see, I'll post it. But literally about to hit like record, and I've got like a basic setup. I just felt like I should do it, like compelled to do it, right? And quite literally holding the little thing and was about to like go. And I get a knock at the door, and it's the maintenance team. And it's one of the maintenance guys that has come before. And in my mind, I was like, he hasn't really done anything. He just sort of like gave a weird excuse before about how like certain things can't be done, but it can be done because and I you've lived long enough, you just know what they can do and what they can't do. And I would do it, but I'm like, no, for what I pay, like, they can do it. And it's this guy, and I was like, you know, and he walks in, but I always keep an open mind. I don't judge. People don't feel that, it usually comes like years in the making. If I don't like you, you'll know it, but it'll become like 3 or 4 years from now, right? And all that to say, he opens up to me about his mom moving to heaven, right? Literally within the last week. And he is, Hispanic, so a Mexican, so he can't go home right away to go visit his family in Mexico. And this is something that I understand because I have friends with the same thing, right? They don't, of course, it's a different country. You don't get to go all the time, right? And he has to wait for a vacation and things like that. But they do, and what I absolutely love and appreciate about Mexican families is that they talk to their family members almost daily, right? On the regs. Like their family is very important to them. They're very close, right? And they take care of the elders in their family, which I always thought was like, yeah, why don't we do that? Like, why don't Americans do that, right? But we're a young country. I feel like we're learning as a whole. There's just like the culture, So one of the benefits of having a country where everyone is welcome. And he opens up to me about his family now and how his mom moved to heaven, and he starts tearing up, and I give him a hug. We kind of talk about it, and I tell him, because I feel like I should, I was like, I was literally just filming a video, right? And about your guardian angels, like spirit guides, aliens, Bigfoot, whatever you subscribe to, and like your shadow, and kind of how like that whole thing goes. And I am quite literally wearing a name tag that says the A team, right? The A team, which is what I call like my guardian angels, and just my A team, right? Because they're bad. They're bad as fuck, right? And it's just bizarre that would happen. I have noticed that this is like my role for some reason, is that people across my lifetime, it doesn't matter what industry I've worked in. It's usually food and beverage, like hospitality, right? Events. So people are coming to me, right? Just strangers coming up to a booth, right? It helps me with my social anxiety, which is a real thing. Like I don't like going to craft shows or like anything with like a long line with like vendors, which is ironic because I did that for like 7 years. But it definitely helps with my social anxiety, which I struggle with. And long story short, have always, once a week, at least once a week, someone come in and tell me that, they have a diagnosis of cancer or, something like that, with like a medical diagnosis that they haven't even told their family about, or they just found out, or they have a family member that just moved to heaven, which is what I call it, literally once a week. And I have been working from home lately, and giving myself some time to rest and figure my life out and what have you. And so I haven't really been like exposed to people like that unless I go out, and which is half of my social anxiety, because I realize this happens to me a lot. Like, it's almost like being famous without being famous, right? So I guess it kind of is almost like being famous, in the idea that like you can't go to the supermarket because it's always a thing, like people want to take pictures with you or whatever, right? But I wow, I just realized that actually. That's where my social anxiety comes from, is that I can't just go out, even if I have eyes down, buds in, right? Like, I am eyes on the prize. I'm going into the store for one thing and one thing only. I get people that are like, hey, and like wanna, like, even working out, like you could be fucking in the zone, right? Not even, no one's there. You have blinders on. You're not even looking at people. You're not even giving like the friendly smile or like the nod, nothing. And people will talk to me. It will happen. And it's not a normal conversation. Like, yes, I talk a lot, right? But I'm now realizing that it's actually part of my gift, right? Is to be able to bridge the gap, as the way I think of it, right? Bridge the gap between like spirit team or spirit or whatever, but not in like I'm like a seatbelt psychic, right? Like that show, awesome show. But I'm not like that, right? I don't believe I see ghosts that way, or your spirit, or pass along messages or anything. But I end up doing that in, like, I guess my own way. I don't know, because I'll give a hug or just be there for somebody when they need it, right? Like an actual ear to listen. I'm not really sure. I'm still figuring that out exactly, but I do know that people come to me when they need somebody. And that's, I think, now that I realize that, the reason that I have a social anxiety, because it's been like that my whole life. And people are like, oh, you're just a talker. Like, oh, don't send Christina. Like, she'll, find people, she'll come back with 8 friends. And I'm like, yeah, that's true, right? And I used to see it as a weakness, but I'm even more so now seeing it as a gift, right? Something I can use in this world, and kind of always have. The gift of gab, but it's specifically when people need to hear something. And ironically enough, it's always, of course, like when I need something as well, even though I don't realize I need it. Like today, Ruben, and his mom moving to heaven, and learning about her, her name was Hortensia. Okay, we're back. I really hope I didn't lose that entire thing. I'm just gonna pretend that I didn't even. Anyways, so long story short, I guess, right, is I always get something out of it as well, even though I don't even realize that I do need something in the moment. But I always walk away with a takeaway, right? Just something to help me along. And what's bizarre is that hearing Ruben's story, and if it cut off, I'll have to do a makeshifty video one, but I'll splice it together. I'll do the stuff and things, I just, like the powers of editing, right? I just believe that Ruben coming in when he did, right about now when I'm wearing the A team, everything happens for a reason, right? There's no coincidences. And I believe that because, not that I was doubting myself, but I'm still getting over this, fear of being seen thing, which I probably got from a past life. I've learned, I don't know, through my the interwebs and like learning and things like that. I have probably carried this along from past lives, right? The fear of being seen, which is bizarre because I'm me and I have the personality. I'm loud. I'm just naturally a lot, right? But yeah, if I'm too much for you, you're not enough for me has been my motto. I don't know, it helps me sleep at night. But just, it's bizarre because I was kind of doubting myself and just about to hit record and like start, and had that moment of hesitation. And because I did, I believe my A team, right, the A team, brought Ruben and I together because he needed something, an ear to listen, a hug, he's working, which is fucking baller, and just working through the tears and stuff, and I admire him for that. And that's very strong. I even told him that. I was like, it's very strong of you, actually. Most people would have called in or would have been bedridden, or especially being that close to their mom, and he's a little bit older. So, I'm sure it wasn't a surprise, but it's never easy, easy, no matter how someone moves to heaven, it's not easy. And I really do believe that my spirit team, the A team, my A team, brought us together because I too needed a little something to, hey, remember? Hey, you, remember? This is like what you do. This is what you do, you know? And this is why I need to be out in the world. That's why I need to push through social anxiety and things like that. And that, I guess, fear of being seen. But it's really just like fear of like, can I just have a day? Can I just have a day where someone's not telling me something? And people are, you know, I'm sure I'll hear it in the comments, but, you know, well, you can shut it off and like you can do your little spiritual bubble or do whatever practice spiritually that one does to like block all that. But I don't necessarily want to ever block that because I really do at this point believe that people need it. So if I'm out and about and I'm somewhere, especially if I'm grocery shopping, bitch, if I'm grocery shopping, there's a reason. There's a reason I'm there. There's, you know, and I don't want to turn that off and maybe, you know, miss a message I'm supposed to receive from my A team or, you know, something that I'm supposed to give someone else. Like that would be incredibly selfish. So I am going to work on, you know, putting myself out there more and getting back out there by choice, which, am I right? Ew, people. But also, people. I don't know. I'm still, but yeah, it was very bizarre. So I'm gonna do what I was gonna do and film, but maybe I'll do it another day because I feel like that was the point of today. That was the point of today. So I'm gonna run a few errands, wish me luck, and I will see you guys in the comments. Don't to hit, got it. Don't forget to hit subscribe. You guys know, wherever, I don't, you know. I'm pretty basic when it comes to this stuff, at least at this point. I might get into editing because I know when I obsess over things, and get super into it, and I love learning. So I'm sure my videos someday will be like, bah, bah, and they'll be like, pew, pew, and there's like shit, there's like, you know, choreographed dance. I'm sure it'll be great at some point, but right now this is great for now. And it's basic, and it's what it should be, which is what it's actually about. And it's about putting myself out there and working through my fear of being seen. So if you guys struggle with the same thing, let me know in the comments. 444 as I say that, bizarre. And I will see you guys in the next one.